Today on the Topping Show, Rachel Maddow has an angry rant over the firing of Joy Reid from MSNBC. Biden appointed judges block Trump freezing foreign aid, but the Supreme Court overrides him. Stellantis profits have crashed 70%, and a dresser is being recalled for not being bolted to the wall. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guys, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Lastly, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Stellantis profits crashing about 70%, which, yeah, that's pretty abysmal to say the least. That is almost as bad as BlackBerry's market crash right when the iPhone came out. That is unbelievably bad. It's no surprise at all the CEO is long gone. Now this comes to us thanks to Motor1.com, which they say, quote, Stellantis profits have cratered. The company recorded a 70% drop and doesn't expect to make any money until at least the second half of 2025, which again is unprecedentedly bad. And ironically, they have the picture of the Jeep, which is probably one of the strongest brands in their portfolio, but is such an unreliable piece of junk. I still surprised they sell. Again, Jeeps are a fun off-road toy, and I love the fact that you can get with a stick shift. That's so rare in the USA these days. Less than 30 vehicles have that option, but they have so many recalls and so many mechanical issues. Is a testament to the power of a brand that people still buy it to this day instead of, just buying a Toyota. Now, Stellantis is one of the largest companies on the planet in terms of they have over a dozen companies in their portfolio for automobiles. No one else has that. I mean, Honda has Honda, Acura, Toyota has Toyota, and Lexus, then another truck company that people forget the name. And Nissan, well, they're barely in business, but Nissan, for the 18 people who still want, does still have Infiniti. And Ford has Lincoln. Most of the major automotive manufacturers, even GM, they used to have 10. They consolidated back down to 4 during the 2009 bankruptcy. So GM has, Chevrolet, Cadillac, GMC, and it's almost comical at this point, but they still have Buick as a brand, which I don't know anyone under 50 who has cognitively made the decision to buy a Buick. They've inherited them. That's how my dad got his Buick. Grandpa passed away. I still have yet to hear someone go, yeah, I bought a new Buick. It has to happen, statistically speaking. It has to be a thing. But, yeah, not so much. And Stellantis, again, I mean, for North America, they bought out Chrysler, which is best known for Jeep, as well as Dodge. I mean, Chrysler now just has the minivan, which, some people buy. But Stellantis also has Fiat, which, fix it again, Tony. They also have Maserati, which is the most rudimentary of luxury vehicles. It's very entry level, mostly a joke for most people. But they just have too many brands in their portfolio, and they obviously can't handle it. Originally, they said, we're going to give each one of these brands about 10 years to get their stuff together and make a profit. They've fast-tracked now to about 2 years. Now, going to the substance of the article, credited to Chris Smith, who, I don't want to say he's the only writer at Motor1.com, but I don't know, all the best articles seem to be written by him lately. Now, he says, quote, profits at Stellantis fell a staggering 70% in 2024. You don't have to be a financial wizard to know that's a very hard hit. Translated into cash, that's a net profit of 5.5 billion euros, monopoly money, or 5.7 billion US currency. Well, also fiat crap. By the time you factor in expenses and all the things that eat into the profits, Stellantis ultimately lost $133 million in cash. And here you can see the only other iconic vehicle that I would also argue they kind of butchered. That's the Dodge Ram you see on the screen there, where God, so bad with the branding. They just call it the Ram these days, which, oh, geez Louise. Yeah, they killed the V8 for the 1500 Ram So if you want the V8, which most truck owners like, you got to get the 2500 or 3500. The competition being the biggest ones, Chevrolet, also the clone, GMC Sierra, as well as the Ford F-150 pickup. Those trucks, if you want a V8, you can get it in the 1500. You can get it in the entry-level vehicle. No longer the case with Stellantis with the Ram, which is now a hybrid V6 twin-turbo amalgamation, which, again, it does technically make more power, but the engine has to work harder. And truck guys, they believe in an age-old philosopher. I'm not sure if this is Confucius, but an age-old saying is there's no replacement for displacement. Now, nevertheless, they say, quote, that's not how Stellantis expected 2024 to go. Well, you also canceled some of your best-selling vehicles, so didn't you? Say, big losses in the U.S. in the company's most profitable sector were driven by inventory woes of vehicles that were too expensive for their target market. True. And again, small anecdotal evidence, though I do have more than 10 friends, that's perhaps a good sample size, but I do know someone who bought a Dodge in the past 2 years. One of my friends bought the Hornet SUV for his wife, and the pricing is so bad in terms of, again, usually don't pay MSRP on a vehicle, but it's supposed to be kind of a ballpark representation of what the manufacturer thinks the car should sell for. And they discounted that piece of junk by like 12 grand under MSRP at the dealership. So, I mean, that's a big discrepancy, and I suspect they're also losing money at that point. Manufacturer, not the dealer. Now, they say at the same time, Ram and Dodge underwent transitions to a new or updated models that were slow to arrive, creating a gap in the very inopportune time. Ram CEO Tim Kuniskis flat out admitted to Motor One that the company dropped the ball on getting lower-priced Ram 1500s into the market, which again, a lot of these guys that work trucks, they like the entry-level vehicle. Less glitz and glamour, more function. Now, ideally, a stick shift, though, to Dodge's credit, they were the last major automotive manufacturer in the U.S. to have a full-size truck with a stick shift. Now, it's only a light-duty truck with a Toyota Tacoma, which is awesome because you got 3 pedals and it comes with green. So if I win the lottery, there will be signs. I'll have one of those. Now, they continued saying, quote, meanwhile, Dodge, the new Charger, launched first as an electric-only Daytona model, will eventually come up for sale. Reception was lukewarm at best. Accurate. The combustion model, running the Hurricane inline-6 engine, has been fast-tracked for launch, but not slated to arrive until later this year. For all 13 people want that piece of junk. I did add that last part. Again, there's some cars, a straight 6 makes sense. There's 6 cylinders in a row. BMW perfected that platform. They have some great vehicles, great stick shift models. I love them. Not the reliability price point of BMW, but they make a great product for enthusiasts, as well as mass consumption. But there's certain expectations. Kind of like how the Corvette should always have a V8. It has since 1958, I believe. 53 came out with a straight 6. Ugh, don't get me started. But when it comes to the Charger, when it comes to muscle cars, you want a Hemi. You want a big old loud V8, which they used to offer and sell like hotcakes. They were great. I mean, one of the biggest successes, I would argue, of Dodge Stellantis past couple decades would be the Charger and Challenger, with one of the best diversity of price points out there. I think it started around 30,000 and went up to like 150,000 with all the bells and whistles and huge demon, Hellfant engines over 1,000 horsepower. It was awesome. You can have whatever you like. The fact they didn't use that rapper video in any marketing promo for a car company is beyond me. I mean, that's a lost opportunity there. But yeah, the Charger being an EV at $70,000+, that's comical. Yeah, it would be good for perhaps for a engine swap so you could fix that abomination. Again, there's a time and place everywhere, for most products in life. But yeah, for the consumers who like muscle cars, on average, they want big old loud vehicles that are fun, and it's all about miles per gallon. And if you're inebriated, it almost looks like a Nissan. It's almost like maybe they had like a Dodge Charger and put like a PlayStation 2 rendering kit. I can see how it could grow on you, but yeah, again, if they had a Hellfant, they had a big old V8 and a stick shift. I mean, I'm not saying it would sell out overnight, but they'd sell for a pretty penny, and they'd make a profit. Now, they say the turbulent year ultimately saw former Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares abruptly resign after allegedly being at odds with the entire Stellantis board. Since then, an interim executive committee led by Stellantis chairman John Elkann has made some sweeping changes, notably in the U.S. market. More control has been given to the CEOs of individual brands, and then there's a renewed optimism for the Fiat Chrysler automobiles side of Stellantis. Which, Yeah, Fiat had a New York minute market presence in the U.S. They were popular for a little bit. Then, yeah, I think I've seen like 2. And again, the Barth is a fun little track toy and great for enthusiasts. I've seen one of those the past year. Now, they say Stellantis as a whole, however, still has a long way to go. The company's full-year financial report forecasts an adjusted operating margin in just the mid-single digits. And if all goes according to plan, Stellantis should start making money again in the second half of the year. Of course, this is all before accounting for EV tax credits, tariffs, or policies in Washington, D.C. that could upset things. Now, still Elkin is optimistic. He says, quote, while 2024 was a year of stark contrast for the company, with results falling short of potential, we achieved important strategic milestones. Notably, we began the rollout of new multi-energy platforms of vehicles, which continues in 2025, started production on EV batteries through our JVs, and launched a Leap Motor international partnership. Scientists, dedicated and talented people are driving forward with energy and determination, engaging with key stakeholder and moving making decisions closer to our customers. We are firmly focused on gaining market share and improving financial performance as 2025 progresses, which, I mean, perhaps the silver lining situation is there's nowhere to go but up with Stellantis. I mean, I say that, but who knows? Maybe the Dodge Charger will be such an abysmal fail. I mean, how much money are they going to lose on that piece of junk? Again, I'm not saying they'll sell 0 of those models, just maybe, 3 to 6. So we'll see. I mean, I'm excited that Dodge CEO is back. He formerly was the Dodge CEO who really was the guy behind the awesomeness of making those Halo cars, like the Charger, Challenger, Hellcat, and then of course having the entry level $30,000 ones. He really successfully he did transform the company, if I could speak articulately. Again, click that subscribe button. Have that theory when I first started the show. Barely anyone tuned in except, maybe family. And I spoke, I would say, faster than Ben Shapiro and more clumsily than Joe Biden trying to climb upstairs. However, as I slowly but surely gain more subscribers, I become just slightly more articulate. Some might argue it's just a modicum improvement, but I have that theory. More people that click that subscribe button and tell your friends, the better I will become, and someday go through an entire episode speaking perfectly, articulately, slowly, and understandably. Perhaps some might argue a pie-in-the-sky dream, but a dream nevertheless. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. And let me know, of all the things Stellantis makes, what do you think, what moves can they make to actually best put the company in a superior position? I mean, it would help if their cars are more reliable than, trying to think what's the most unreliable product of all time. I mean, the Ford Bronco that's had 8 recalls. And I would actually probably choose to drive that over an average Stellantis product. But let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the Cultural Report podcast of Rachel Maddow angry and has a rant over Joy Reid being fired from MSNBC. Who would have thunk it? Now this comes to us thanks to Benny Johnson on X. He says, quote, here's a nice little laugh for you on this wonderful evening. Rachel Maddow goes on a cringy 4-minute rant over Joy Reid being fired from MSNBC. Little does she know she's next. Which, Mark Cuban, I mean, if you're going to make a comparison of who Rachel Maddow looks like, come on, folks. That is on point. That has to be Rachel Knowles' doppelganger or mother-in-law or mother. There's a stark contrast. There's a contrast between Michael Knowles and Rachel Maddow. But without too much further ado, again, perhaps she'll impress us with this brilliant articulation of why they should have kept Joy Reid at MSNBC. Maybe she's going to bring up some statistics like Joy Reid brought in millions of dollars. The advertisers and the people loved her. Maybe probably not, but let's hear what she has to say.
Hour all the other nights except for Mondays. So that's a big change. An even bigger programming change is at 7 p.m. Eastern, where Joy Reid's show, The Readout, ended tonight. And Joy is not taking a different job in the network. She is leaving the network altogether. And that is very, very, very hard to take. I am 51 years old. I have been gainfully employed since I was 12.
Really?
And I have had so many different kinds of jobs, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. But in all of the jobs I have had, in all of the years I have been alive, there is no colleague for whom I have had more affection and more respect than Joy Reid.
Why?
I love everything about her. I have learned so much from her. I have so much more to learn from her. I do not want to lose her as a colleague here at MSNBC. And personally, I think it is a bad mistake to let her walk out the door. It is not my call, and I understand that, but that's what I think.
Rolling your eyes.
I will tell you, it is also
fired.
unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two, count them, two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows, as is Katie Fang on the weekend. And that feels worse than bad.
Is race the only thing they focus on? Oh, of course it is. They're leftist.
No matter who replaces them. That feels indefensible, and right. I do not defend it.
They're just losing the company money because they sucked?
But there's just one other piece of it that you should know.
Oh, okay.
From your side of the TV screen, you will mostly see changes in terms of who's in the anchor chair. And actually, everybody who's going to be in anchor chairs from here on out are great colleagues and great at what they do, and you are not going to be disappointed in who's on our air and what you're going to be seeing.
Oh, it can be a lower bar.
But one thing you cannot necessarily see is that the people who get our shows on the air, they're really being put through the ringer. Dozens of producers and staffers, including some who are among the most experienced and most talented and most specialist producers in the building, are facing being laid off.
Oh, no.
They're being invited to reapply for new jobs. That has never happened at this scale in this way before when it comes to programming changes, presumably because it's not the right way to treat people, and it's inefficient, and it's unnecessary, and it kind of drops the bottom out of whether or not people feel like this is a good place to work, and so we don't generally do things that way. Maybe all of our folks, including most of the people who are getting this very show on the air right now, maybe they will all get new jobs here, and I hope they do, but in the meantime, being put in this kind of limbo, the anxiety and the discombobulation is off the charts at a time when this job already is extra stressful and difficult.
What?
It is not news for me to tell you that
that's got to be one of the easiest jobs on the planet. You have someone else write your material for you. You have someone else choose your outfit for you. You have someone else do your alleged makeup, and haircut. Stylist? What do you call it? Cosmetologist? No. Whoever it is should be fired. She looks abhorrent, obviously. But yeah, her job's so hard. Okay.
Press and freedom of the press are under attack in a way that is really...
No, it's not. It's called Your Show Sucks. That's why people aren't tuning into MSNBC. People aren't buying lies anymore. That's why you have less viewers. Therefore, you have less advertiser dollars. I mean, this is pretty simple. Well, with anyone with the modicum of intelligence, it's pretty simple concept to understand. Supply and demand. There's less demand for your product.
It's a big deal for our country. It's very visceral for us here. I know that the business of the press is not an easy thing, and I know that no job is forever. But I think I'm safe in saying for all of us anchors who you know through the TV, please know that what pains us the most is not what happens to us. It is what happens to our coworkers on whom we depend and who you don't necessarily know, but we respect and love them and depend on them. And did I mention we respect them? This is a difficult time in the news business, but it does not need to be this difficult.
But you made it that way by making a subpar product. You consistently lied to the American public. People finally woke up. And they decided they're not going to tune in. That's entirely your fault. That's your producer's fault. That's your fault. I mean, it's quite literally self-inflicted.
We welcome new voices to this place and some familiar voices to new hours. It's going to be great, honestly, and we want to grow and succeed and reach more people than ever and be resilient and stay here forever. I also believe, and I bet you believe, that the way to get there is by treating people well. Finding good people, good colleagues, doing good work with them, and then having their back. That we could do a lot better on, a lot better. I'll be right back.
I mean, if she really had her colleague back, she could have threatened to quit if they also fired. And I can't help but think she'll probably be fired next, because I did a fun poll on the YouTube, and granted, small sample size, about 50 people responded, but I asked folks, do you know anyone who watched Joy Reid authentically, like you tuned in because you like her? 85% of people said no, they did not. While the remaining said, oh yeah, we know someone who actually does watch her because they like her, which 15% still seems too high. But nevertheless, this went pretty viral, got about 1.4 million views as well as 49,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Based Electrician saying, quote, I've been employed since I was 12, and there's no colleague I have more affection or respect for than Joy Reid. Where the hell did this woman work? Getting 218 likes, which, I mean, if you include like odd jobs or neighborhood jobs, I mean, I don't think she necessarily did, but I mean, I know folks, including myself, who did. I mean, you do yard work for the neighbors. I mean, what was it? One of the most painful but rewarding summer projects was digging a ditch for a neighbor along their whole property. Back in my day, no fancy electronical or diesel machines. Used a shovel. Got blisters, built character. It was like 20 bucks a day. Yeah, it felt like I was a millionaire. It was amazing. Back when a stick of Starburst was 75 cents with the tax included, so you said a quarter for the arcade and a gumball. Oh, rental at the Blockbuster is $5 and a Nintendo 64 cartridge. No sales tax or no income tax for me. Those are the days. Gas was under $1. Movies were all black and white. Okay, I'm not that old, but nevertheless, that got 218 likes. Planet of Memes, A+, they finally did responded meme form. It's been a couple weeks almost at this point. Planet Memes says twins, and there's a picture of Rachel Maddow, looking slightly creepier than usual, which is saying something. And then Mark Cuban with his nerd glasses, and it says, quote, corporate needs to find a difference between these two pictures. And it's the office Pam saying they're the same picture. Gained 191 likes, which, again, there are hip, cool glasses out there. Those are not them, Mark Cuban. I don't know what you're going for in this picture. Also hilarious how Mark Cuban was basically, was it a stalking horse or whore for Kamala Harris? Just completely a Kamala Harris supporter and, retweeting her ideals. Then as soon as Kamala lost, Mark Cuban went and tried to delete all those. Which, yeah. Got 191 likes for that. Scrolling down more and more. Let's see. Jay Bo says, you're the next one to get canned. And it's the Grim Reaper meme where he's going door to door. And it looks at all the firings to Chris Wallace, Lester Holt, Joy Reid, and Rachel Maddow. And the Grim Reaper is called Americans that had enough propaganda shoved down their throats. Gained 209 likes. Oh, let's make it 210. We also have, let's see here. Kimberly Lee saying, quote, raise your hand if you think Rachel Maddow is full of shit. She's a professional liar with zero credibility. You're next on the hit list. Wacko gained 918 likes. Community notes, true. Well, they didn't actually put it there, but it is true. Alaska, really, the whole state of Alaska hates Joy Reid. I wouldn't be surprised. Not many people like her. One of the most ironic names in history. Her name is Joy. I've never once seen a video of her where she is, in fact, full of joy. And I debate if she can read at all. But nevertheless, Alaska says, quote, she doesn't seem to understand that if your network is failing, people will lose jobs. Hopefully she and Jen Psaki are the ones to be out next. There's a screenshot of Joy Reid looking slightly more unattractive than usual, which is saying something. And it says, Black History Month, Joy Reid, you're fired. 328 likes. Chill in Effect says, quote, they're all clowns at this point. No one believes their BS anymore. There's an AI picture of a bunch of clowns working at computers and, got generic news names behind them. Let's see here. Flea on the Flea says, another facts. As Joy Reid looking like a cow says, there's no more joy at work. Breaking bovine virus is on the loose, getting 20 likes. Real Vinny James says, quote, so Rachel Maddow loves race-baiting racist black women with a chip on her shoulder the size of Texas and a penchant for appropriating the blonde hair color of the very white people she clearly despises. Got it? Total mental case. Getting 332 likes. Christopher with a K says, quote, she knows she's next. She's setting up for her departure to look like she's being fired for taking a stand against a black woman. Virtue signaling to set her up for a lawsuit against NBC. Getting 46 likes. Nick Stank Memes has the meme from the Indiana Jones. The good ones, not the one where they're bastardized by that gal later. Yeah, thank God it looks like Disney will find a can her ass. Yeah, it's Kathleen Kennedy destroyed it. But nevertheless, the OG Indiana Jones are still works of art. And it's the meme where he's replacing the gold idol. But he's replacing, Elon Musk looking at Rachel Maddow, she being the idol, and replacing it with Alex Jones, getting 56 likes. We also have I Love American News saying the story. It says the evolution of Rachel Maddow. And has a bunch of pictures of her. Wow, 1990, she actually, she had, lady hair, short shoulder length hair. It actually looks pretty good. Then 1994, she has hair through 1994 to now she just has hair like a young boy and dresses like a man. And then the last picture is Mark Cuban. And that got 456 likes. We also have Wu Hang Lee saying the resemblance is amazing. It's a picture of Rachel Maddow juxtapositioned with a picture of Frankenstein. Well, Frankenstein's a monster. Frankenstein's a doctor. I forgot that. A lot of people do. One more. Elmer Zink says, she says it's a bad time in the news business. Neither Rachel nor Joy Reid were in the news of business. They were not journalists. They were biased opinionist show host. Getting 180 likes. And there's an AI generated picture of her and Joy Reid working at McDonald's, getting 104 likes from Jason Curry, which would be a big step for that. Actually, would be a big improvement to them. That would actually be them contributing to society and providing something of value. A first for both of them, I would argue. And again, with their brand and their track record, unlike Tucker Carlson, I don't know anyone who would want to support them as an independent journalist if they were to try to start their own YouTube channel or their own Patreon or anything like that. Yeah, so we'll see what the future holds for them. I mean, Democrat Party will probably give them money to go somewhere, but let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have Biden appointed judges blocking Trump's freezing of foreign aid because, of course, they want all of our tax dollars to go to pretty much every country and citizen on the planet except for U.S. taxpayers. Now, thankfully, the Supreme Court has blocked them for now. It's a very fluid situation. This was first reported by End Wokeness, and he says, quote, 3 judges blocked Trump from freezing foreign aid, federal grants, and limiting refugees. All were appointed by Biden. And that got 5.3 million views. And there you can see the judges there, which at least he did suit up, or is that called robing up? Better or less, at least he looks professional. It's pretty rare for Democrats. That's Mr. Amir Ali, and then Lauren Eichen. The third gentleman is not, no placard or no name tag, nevertheless, and got 88,000 likes, which, thank God for Doge. And I'm waiting for that nice infographic where Elon just says, of every dollar, or no, that's like Trump accent. It's a bad accent today, or at least attempt for accents today. But of every dollar the government steals from us, or we pay through income tax, sales tax, telecom tax, internet tax, capital gains tax, property tax, tobacco tax, so many taxes, it's ridiculous, it's criminal. Of every dollar they steal from us, how many of that actually improves our lives? Not countries we can't point to on a map, which granted that's not saying much because the U.S. public school system is rudimentary to say the least. But yeah, probably be a pretty depressingly small amount. I would say relatively close to zero. Now, one of the top comments comes from Gunther Eagleman, who says, quote, all 3 should be impeached, getting 10,000 likes, which it sure seems like their alliances to other countries over our own. Again, why are they so obsessed with giving every other country on the planet our tax dollars except for us? The Hodge twins said, quote, they ought to be locked up into Gitmo. No one is above the law, getting 1.9 thousand likes. Scrolling down more and more. World Hall of Fun says, ignore the judge. And it's a clip that says, law of the land. The general misconception is that any statute, can't speak today, passed by legislators bearing the appearance of the U.S. constituents to the law of the land. The U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and any statute for a valid must be in agreement. It is impossible for a law which violates the Constitution to be valid. This is successfully states as follows: all laws which are repugnant to the Constitution will be null and void. And that got 2.8 thousand likes, and it'd be nice if that was actually, taken to heart with all these states trying to, disarm their citizens and limit their capacity to defend themselves as well. Scrolling down more and more. Let's see. Can't ignore a Thomas Sowell quote. He is one of the most brilliant philosophers, economicists out there. It's from World Hall of Fun. It's like, quote, there's no greater indictment of judges than the fact that honest people are afraid to go to court while criminals swagger in revolving doors. Unquote from Thomas Sowell, getting 976 likes. Mike Eagleman says all 3 should be arrested. Hell with impeachment, getting 2.5 thousand likes. Let's see. Mirthful Moments says Biden and Democrats have destroyed our economy. And it shows the housing lending rate. In 2021, the rate was 2.96%, 30-year fixed. And 2023 is a 7.7% interest rate at 30-year fixed. The total interest paid goes from 200,000 to 627,000 in interest paid, which that's heartbreaking. I'm still renting a house. I have no idea how. I hope to own a house before I die. We'll see. I got 118 likes. Planet of Memes, F- that did not in fact respond in meme form, says, quote, impeach them all, getting 496 likes. Paul Zupa also says DEI ruins everything, and perhaps is referencing the fact that one of the judges is an African-American man, one is a Middle Eastern man, I'm guessing, and then maybe Middle Eastern woman. I'm speculating. I have no idea. where they're actually from. They don't actually have that little placard. You also have David Sullivan with the pronouns prosecute Fauci saying, quote, it's Marxist Democrat protest against the will of the people. And it's a meme of the Muppets with the two guys in the, not the orchestra, in the balcony for all the shows. And it says, quote, the only thing that has gotten worse since Trump became president is the behavior of Democrats, getting 1.1 thousand likes. I also have Sarah Smith saying impeach them all. And it's simply a picture that says impeach corrupt judges, getting 461 likes. So we'll see. And again, the Supreme Court overruled them for now. But yeah, it's interesting to see how much they hate not giving away our tax dollars. And I'd love to see if we actually stop all this foreign aid, how much money do we really, how much of a net loss are we every year really? We keep going into debt, but how much is that because we give so much of our money away to countries that, again, in many ways don't even benefit us economically, yet alone geopolitically? I understand some folks are trying to make that argument. I can understand it. But I mean, there's some instances where there's just no real logical reason I can't think it's just utter corruption. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you had a dresser being recalled because you've got to bolt it to the wall, which also shows how much of a nanny state government we have these days. Now, this comes to us thanks to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. It says, quote, Solder Woodworking recalls clothing storage unit over trip hazard because the restraint straps weren't included. Because you have to have straps for a dresser these days to bolt it to the wall. Now, you can see this very important piece of plastic. Was it? So it's 4 components. Well, I guess, yeah. 2 screws. I'm guessing that's a plastic strap. And I forget well, I have to turn in my man card for the day. I forget the mechanism that actually, you drill a hole in the wall, put a little piece of plastic in, then you use the screw. Fastener, probably. It's been a couple years since I used one of those. But nevertheless, I mean, you have to have that, of course. Here's some pictures of the dressers. There you go. Yeah. Apparently you have to bolt that to the wall. Now, they say, quote, the hazard. The tip-over restraint straps can fail when used on certain Sonder clothing storage units, the dressers and 4-door chest, to prevent tip-over incidents, posing tip-over and entrapment hazards that can result in death or serious injury to children. And they're gonna have to replace 15,800 of these apparently. Wow. Now, they say, quote, the recall involves soldered tip-over restraint straps that were sold and distributed with certain soldered dressers and 4-door chests manufactured between July 2020 and August 2023. The clothing storage units have a date of manufacture sticker on the back of the unit. They're sold in various colors under the Sonder and Sonder Beginnings brand. Now, they note that the consumer should immediately stop to check to see if their clothing storage unit has a date of manufacture on the back between those dates of July 2020 and August 2023. If so, the consumer should contact Sonder to arrange for a free replacement tip-over restraint kit to be mailed to the consumer at no cost. Consumers should remove the old tip-over restraint and install a new one once received. Keep kids away from the product while they're waiting for a replacement tip-over restraint kit. Yep. And of course, there's laws and regulations that force these companies to include this crap, which I understand. A lot of people will argue to their red in the face, because it is unfortunate. This law and regulation probably came because someone, unfortunately probably passed away and is, good intentions, which, again, the counter to that is the age-old saying of the road to hell is paved with good intentions. This reminds me of those stupid $1 Chinesium locks you get every time you buy a handgun in the United States. By law, they have to give you that cheap piece of junk lock because they passed a law, which sucks because that's increasing the cost of goods sold to the consumer, and that's less money that they can actually put into me making a superior product. Again, I know those locks are like the cheapest things and the first thing you throw away when you buy a gun, but yeah, there's a lot of products that exist just because of regulation and argue don't do much good to society. Also can't help but think how many of these are actually, what's the install rate of these things when you actually, and again, I have friends with kids, I've never heard of this. They're screwing these dressers into the wall. Again, you could just be a proper parent and teach the kids, and they might get a couple bumps and bruises, but I mean, how much are we nerfing the tables these days? Also shows how cheap furniture is in terms of, back in my day, we inherit, it's not like it's a fancy heirloom. I just got my dad's old dresser when I was a kid. I was about to say I inherited it. It wasn't high. It was, it wasn't a fancy, valuable heirloom, but I just used the same one my dad had, and that thing was more solid. And I mean, yeah, I jumped off of it a couple times, but also when it got wobbly, I kind of learned, well, maybe I need to rearrange my weight, or weigh down the bottom couple of drawers. That way, it makes a more stable structure. Which again, it's not a structure; it's a dresser, but nevertheless, this recall is going to cost them a pretty penny. And I would guess the adoption rate, or the rate at which parents install these, and again, they're screwing a dresser into the wall, it's got to be what, less than 5%? Let me know in the comments. What do you think that rate is? Now, they know that these are sold at Cook's Brothers, Homemakers Furniture Plaza, and Menards. Haven't heard that name since I lived in the Midwest. Nationwide, as well as Amazon.com. Apparently, you can buy dressers at Best Buy. Weird. So they also sell these at Best Buy, which they have about 18 employees left. Home Depot, Menards, Sauter, Target.com, UrbanOutfitters.com, Walmart.com, and Wayfair, and other websites, again, from July 2020 to December 2024. Jeez Louise, for between $200 and $395. Jeez Louise. And that's why I just make my own furniture, which, granted, with all the extra cost of materials and my time, is actually worth much more than $400. But I would argue, this 150-year-old antique barnwood siding and this thick epoxy made in America, this thing will last probably a couple decades at least, so a little more durable. Now, if you feel very worried about this recall, you can call them and you can note the recall number. That's going to be 25-146. The silver lining in the situation, thankfully, no one's been hurt from this. No kids have passed away. There's no bumps and bruises. So again, there's silver lining. No injury reports were noted, but it's still going to cost the company a pretty penny to mail out these things. And at the end of the day, I'm guessing most parents are going to get this in the mail and just immediately toss it into the trash. But you're selling a product in the United States, one of the most overly regulated countries on the planet, but also one of the most profitable and important markets in the world. Got to play by the rules. So at the end of the day, I gotta say, solder your dresser recall and the fact that you forgot this little silly strap. So I gotta say, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you can click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.